Rise and shine, everybody. I got up early this morning because I am excited for this review, the GV70 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 sports trim. Let's go. 375 horsepower, 391 pounds-feet of torque, 8-speed transmission, punch it chewy! Woo! Oh yeah, she's fast! So thankfully, the GV70 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 is not just a change in powertrain and a little bump in horsepower and torque. It's a complete personality change, if you ask me. So the GV70, which I've reviewed, go check out that review because that's going to be a little bit more detailed about all the nice stuff that this offers. It's a premium luxury vehicle. By all means, it definitely stands to that definition. But this is the sport trim, not to be confused. In the US, because I'm in Canada, we have, in Canada, the prestige trim is the mid-level trim, which is what I reviewed last week. And this week is the sports trim, which is the high trim. Now, you guys have the prestige sport trim, so this is what this would be. Our sport trim is your prestige sport trim. Enough of that jibber jabber. Let's go about the differences. Aesthetics, outdoor aesthetics or exterior aesthetics. It is a much different looking vehicle. You got the darker grille, dark matter, and then you just got the spokes design on the wheel. So 21 still, but you're going from a chromed out look, spokes design to a much meaner dark matter kind of thing. Look, with some cool design. I like the lines on it, and it looks pretty cool. Furthermore, you're going in the back from a hidden exhaust system to exposing twin exhaust system that likes to punch and puff out those emissions. Yeah, it's just all around. It's just some slight changes, but they're very noticeable changes. Now, talking about the interior, so same amount of cargo space if you're looking at the cargo space between the Prestige and Sports trim. 28 cubic feet with the seats up, 56 with the seats down, almost a completely flat surface. That's still there. So everything that's utility-wise, that's still going to be there. The only thing you're getting more is a little bit more attitude with a nicer sounding engine. And a little bit more refinement when it comes to the interior. So it's got this nice suede and sports quilted design on it. I've got the blue and orange one right there. The seat belts, another dead giveaway, that the magma colored theme. And you got that ambiance lighting too, that's a little bit sportier because you have that carbon fiber accents on, like real carbon fiber, not the other one. That's, to me, it doesn't really matter. It's not gonna be making the vehicle that much lighter, but it's to show a point that their aim, which carbon fiber is synonymous to performance vehicle, and that's what they're aiming for this trim anyways. And the handling is going to be much more different. You're going from a much comfort based style of vehicle, a little bit more body roll, and I mentioned that in my review of the GV70. I said, oh, it's got a little bit of body roll. Also, I got a little bit more body roll than I personally would like. And when it comes to the sport trim, or the 3.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, a lot less. And one of the reasons is because the suspension, yes, the GV70 comes standard with that multi-link suspension, but the top trim with the V6, that comes with kind of a smart preview adaptive dampers. What they use is the camera in line with the navigation system to, well, give it a half-second preparation, I guess, to adapt. What I noticed is when it's like slight little bumps everywhere, like right now I'm driving on a little bit of a more rough road. It's going a smoother road here, but for example, speed bumps. I found a big difference in shock absorption when I was crossing speed bumps with this particular trim. It was a lot more softened up, even when I was in sports mode. So I crossed the speed bumps in sports mode, and I was like, wow, I expected to be extremely rigid during sports mode or sports mode plus, which is another thing that's different, is you have sports mode plus, and it gets rid of that traction control. So the limited slip differential, which provides more torque to each individual wheel, improve like cornering, improve traction. Well, in sports mode plus, that's kind of like, turn everything off, just give me all the power. So that's when I really noticed the suspension, is when I was in sports mode plus and still going over bumps and being like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm feeling it. I'm not feeling it as harsh as I would with, well, most sports tuned suspension. Let's face it, they're not usually there to be comfortable. Okay, so I talked about the horsepower, I talked about the torque. What does that really mean in between trims? Well, you're going to basically save a whole second, or almost a second, in your 0 to 60 time. That is a big difference. A full second is, it's a lot of time. But the way I felt it most was, let me describe this. Let's say, for example, my wife and I, right? We're different sizes. She's a petite little thing, but she can lift. She is strong. So she might be able to deadlift 250 pounds, but I can easily deadlift 250 pounds. That's the difference between the 4-cylinder and the V6. When you're pushing the 4-cylinder, you feel it. It's like, okay, it's trying its best. It's trying really hard. When you're pushing this, you feel like, man, this thing could probably go a lot faster than it is, because this feels easy to it. This is like lightweight. And it really is not. It's so you just feel the big difference of how much more power you have underneath your foot. Another difference is, while I'm driving around here, is if you were to have passenger in the rear, they do enjoy a little bit more acoustic shielding than the 4-cylinder option. That is really nice. So it's got rear side window acoustic shielding, whatever. It's more quiet back there, which is good, because, like, you know, I like hearing my nice rumble while I'm driving like a nut job, but maybe not everybody likes doing that. I think passengers like a comfortable ride and a nice quiet ride. Sucks to be them when they're riding with me, though, because I'm just gonna do this all day. So the bump to the 3.5 liter from the 4-cylinder is going to cost you about $11,000. Let's put this baby in the park. But I do like that they didn't just put a bigger engine in it and call it a day. They kind of modified the whole personality. So the rims, the interior, a couple of more niceties and stuff. Sure, I mean, I think a $5,000 upgrade fee would have been enough, but I just like having nice things and not paying for them. That's the whole point of this YouTube channel. But when you're comparing it to competitors, there's, you know, a few competitors out there. So the one that comes to mind is the BMW X3 M50. In Canada, there's like a $5,000 difference there. So the GV70 Sport is $5,000 less, and I would argue that this one actually like gets more attention from the outside looks. Comment below what you guys think about that. But I find that big grille in the front, especially this dark one, and yeah, sure, the chrome one is flashy, but this dark one kind of has people taking more second looks. As far as BMWs, yeah, I mean, they look nice, but is it as in your face as the big Genesis grille? No, I think this front fascia is definitely nicer. Also, yeah, you're losing 20 horsepower by going with the Genesis, so, but almost 20 horsepower, I think. It's not that much of a difference. So you gotta consider that. Yeah, and then there's the other German favorites, so the Mercedes GLC, AMG GLC. That is going to be a little bit harder to compete with, in my opinion, because that vehicle is quite a bit faster. It's like a 4.4 second 0 to 60 time, as opposed to this one is 5 second flat. That's where I'm kind of sitting at. Is this kind of does everything really, like, the interior is amazing. I don't drive a lot of luxury vehicles, and I'm thoroughly impressed. I like the fact that it's got a space age looking interior, kind of like this oval design here. This metallic goes very well. I got the blue interior with obviously the orange seatbelt. They did quite a good job at mixing that sporty attitude with the posh attitude of the regular trim GV70. And that's kind of where I'm at with this vehicle. Is that, you know what, it is a performance vehicle in my opinion, because it's a lot of horsepower, and the way it's tuned, you kind of feel like it could definitely give you more, and probably for safety reasons it's probably better that it doesn't. But what I like is that the refinements, right? And this one's got, you know, the flat bottom steering wheel, but everything else is nice around it, and everything else is functional, from the toggle for sports mode or drive modes. You know, you do have eco, comfort, sport, and sports plus. One thing I noticed as well, my fuel economy. I'm at 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. After 800 kilometers, I drove this one way too much. And I'm going to take a look here, because I don't remember offhand, but the 4-cylinder GV70 was 9.6 liters per 100 kilometers around this point in my journey, because I drive the vehicle all week, and then this is on my way back to returning it. Yeah, I procrastinated a lot to record this. I had way too much fun during the week driving it. So you're looking at half a liter in fuel economy. And I think that's around, what, 22 miles per gallon, maybe? Around there. I'll write down below what it actually is in miles per gallon. I'm sorry, I didn't convert that in my head. You know what? That's still not that bad for this type of vehicle. And I would argue that might even be better than what the competitors. I haven't driven them, so it's kind of, I always go by what I drive, because I drive always pretty much the same routine every week with every press car I have. And that's where I'm at. Fuel economy is not that bad, especially if you're doing mostly highway. I find that this on the highway does just as well as the 4-cylinder, depending how you're driving. If you're driving the speed limit, maybe not. Enough about that. But where are you guys stand? I mean, I think here are my pros. Looks amazing inside and out. The inside, the big massive OLED screen, like 27-inch OLED screen that responds extremely well. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, yeah, all that stuff. The HVAC controls are tactile, but they also respond really well. You touch them, they activate, and sometimes that's not always the way it's supposed to work that way, but it's not always what happens. The metallic dials, the rotary dial for the shifter, everything is kind of good to go. The fabric, the seat comfort. And another thing about the seats is they change according to your sports mode. So the side bolstering will obviously tighten up if I'm going in sports mode, but also while you're driving, if you're accelerating more, even if you're in eco mode, it's going to be like, let's snug you up a little bit, which can be good. Sometimes for me, I'm a bigger person, kind of makes me feel like somebody's grabbing my love handles and telling me I need to go back to the gym. That's my personal problem. But yeah, it's cool that it does that. And after an hour of driving on the highway, it'll go into this ergonomic session where it's gonna basically do like a massage, right? It's kind of like bolstering out the lumbar support at different areas, and I find that's really nice. And it's good that I don't have to activate it. It's gonna do it on its own after an hour of driving, which is what I've noticed on this drive. I'm driving it back on the highway. It's a 3.5 hour drive, but it's these things that are really good. And when you're going on the highway, this is not a hands-free highway driving assist. It is highway driving assist level 2, so that's something that you get as opposed to the Prestige, is that it has assisted lane change. So you can activate your lane change and it'll assist you in doing that. I'm not a big fan of it personally. I think that, okay, if you're gonna be doing the lane changes, then yeah, do it like Super Cruise, Blue Cruise, those ones. You know, activate your turn signal and then it's gonna do a lane change for you. If I'm gonna do it, just let me do it. So that'd be one of my cons. Is, yeah, it's cool that it's got that feature, but I mean, move up a notch and be completely hands-free, or just don't do it. That's my personal opinion. And as far as cons, I mean, for the price, for the value, and the fact that the fuel economy is not that bad, especially if you're doing a lot of highway. Now, when you're going in the city, those numbers change drastically, because when I was doing my city portion, I was like, ooh, this is getting more and more expensive as I go. So it's, yeah, it likes going at higher rate of speed, and that's the whole point of the V6, right? You're not buying the V6 because you like to drive a little bit more grandma style. My personal opinion. Share yours in the comments section. But my overall impression of the GV70 3.5 liter originally is, when I did the 4-cylinder GV70, I said, that's probably the best deal. And it is a good deal. And if that's the one you want to, just don't test this one. Because once I got in the seats, once I put my pedal to the floor, it struck a chord in me, and I was like, is this love? I don't know. And then if you fall in love, you might end up spending an extra $11,000, whether you're in Canada or in the US. That's the price difference between the 4-cylinder and the turbo V6, twin turbo V6. So yeah, it's probably not a good time for me right now to tell you if this is the better one, because I'm sitting in it, I'm driving it, and it's fun. It's just a lot of fun. So yeah, let's go back into Sport Mode Plus, and I'll just keep having fun, and you guys comment below what you guys think. All right, take my money already. Hey, I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me take this curve at a way too much high rate of speed. Catch you later.